Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Alright, so I exited it out and I'm in the exact same place I was standing when I reloaded the game.
Grid is rife with rumors about the explosion,
So
so
we're
report
gonna
to orders.
start Benefactor here.
Exactly, plastic. You
Hmm.
get it. Of course I get it.
Of course, it would be interesting if it turned out Plastic was actually a mastermind and she did the terrorism bomb. We're really focusing in on the bomb. Also, oddly, it's nighttime, and it's been only once before where we've seen it nighttime outside, and it fairly quickly jumped back to daytime. I just don't really think that the night cycle here makes a lot of sense. Um, it almost feels like it should be a toggle you could turn on for a shader, um, or for a very specific storyline reason.
You started this.
Get your ego out of this, Noah.
What the hell are you even talking about? Nice job on the bobble, by the way. Winning the employees, huh?
Hmm.
You're a damn psychopath, Rebecca. You always were.
Let me tell you something. If you ever took a stance on anything, Noah, I might care about your opinion.
Like, we
Contact me when you come
have
to your
no
senses.
idea
That
who
is, if it
Rebecca
happens before
is.
Kruger catches up to you. Faith, you've grown. Barely out of prison and already stirring things up. Your parents would be proud.
Yeah, it's kind of
Talk about
late
Elysium,
to introduce
whatever it was you stole from there.
that they're having like Rebecca just show up out of nowhere.
Who's
Seems
that?
weird.
Rebecca Thane.
The leader of Black November. She knew my parents.
Yeah, we were all part of the same group before. Anyway, Rebecca was always a breed apart. She thinks she can change the world by blowing it up. Faith, she wanted the Omnistat drive, the blueprint on it.
Why not give it to her?
Because in her own way, she's as dangerous as Gabriel Kruger.
So,
Fletcher's obviously
interesting.
more than the conglomerate will admit, and I have a feeling Rebecca should be kept.
We may have two
Good, because I was going to offer it to
bad
Toby.
guys now in Black November.
Not to take
Or-
sides.
I do
Oh.
take sides. Our side. See ya.
Faith,
What?
never mind. I'll see you soon.
These cutscenes are too short, and they're really not giving you enough, like, characterization. So we basically now know who blew up the mall. Effectively, if she's in charge of Black November, and November really did it. And it definitely is an interesting thought to potentially have more than just Kruger Sec be the bad guys. If all of a sudden we have runners chasing after us from Black November and they're this whole second group of people, that would be kind of cool. This guy's just sleeping here. Yeah. Having that level of potential conflict tells a more complicated story than what we've been seeing up until this point, where in the first game you definitely interesting. It wants me to go up there. I don't see a way you could get up there. But there is something up there, certainly. But there's still not a way to disrupt this. Let's go and pick up this document. Apparently that's been there the whole time. Doesn't look like there's anything over there. And I still can't really see a way that would go. Yeah, the original Mirror's Edge game introduced the bad guy. You kind of knew who the bad guy was from the beginning. And they never put any real twists on that thought, or any real, like, drama around that thought. They did put a twist as to who was working for the main bad guy. So it would eliminate, say, the idea of, let's see, can you swing from that point? No. This would, I think, eliminate the idea of specifically having Rebecca turn out to be working for Kruger, and that being a twist or a surprise. I guess these black squares are supposed to be the indicators of a area to go to. Map-wise, this does seem like it is just taking me kind of back to the same area I already was at. Let's see if we can try and zoom out a little bit. Not quite, but almost. And it definitely does feel like these night sequences are scripted specifically so that you will run down hallways like this instead of running in the open world. And then disruptors do seem to disrupt a decent amount of the fans. So I'm glad you're not having to hit the B button multiple times to disrupt multiple fans. Although it almost feels like there should be some experiment or test around that idea. Maybe I will at some point get just better shoes that can run up this way and not slide. Because the only thing I could think of doing would be something like that. And this was this internal area where it seems like there's it's just a fall to your death, I guess. It definitely feels like this area and this hallway is an oddly floating staircase taking you from one area to another. We didn't come back through this area, and this is what I was kind of expecting to see, was something like that. We also never really got explained as to why there are just so many computer screens. There we go. I will intentionally drop here to get this grid link. Let's see. Seems like I am supposed to be going this way. Okay. So to get this grid link, you have to jump from like that. And it's the grid link that is making the noise. Alright. Okay. So that was what I was supposed to do, but that collected, I had already collected it, just it clipping through the door apparently, clipping through the wall. So I guess it's just this sign that's making this noise. And you can see how there's a texture here for a wall run that's just floating in the air. I can't help but feel like this is an area that is particularly unfinished. Just visually unpolished. It does definitely feel like it could be a very nightmare scenario to try and wander around regions like this just looking for collectibles, particularly if we're not going to have them marked. I don't see a way you make this jump. I think you have to go this way. At least at the moment, with my current skill and distance I can jump, that just does not seem doable. And there is something red over there that implies to me that there is a collectible in there. This is definitely a transition point that you're going to start to want to avoid in favor of just doing fast travel. And I could easily see getting so used to using fast travel that you don't even bother to do it otherwise. Let's see, jump up here and jump up here. And this time it's not loading another cutscene. This definitely feels like it's a high art district area. So the idea of this being a prison is probably wrong. This is more than likely, I would guess, a very rich part of this city. Although I really feel like I should have grabbed the rope there. That should be something you can't possibly miss. I'm still leaning to the feeling that there's kind of considerably fewer people in this world than it feels like there should be. Even looking at all these like flying cars and all the cars on the road, if you can see them, like, for as big as the city is, it feels like it's at least half as populated as it should be. It'd be kind of nice if you could grab these ropes and then run up the opposite direction on these ropes. That's certainly something I've seen in other Assassin's Creed style games, which this game does have a lot of elements that echo things that could be like Assassin's Creed as the years went by, certainly, and more gameplay mechanics were added and movement mechanics were added to the Assassin's Creed series. It's shocking how few movement mechanics exist here in this game. Let's see if we can jump up here and find a shortcut. I guess the answer to that is no. Is there something over there to grab? I don't think so. Like, at least going different directions potentially moves you in a different direction. That's interesting how that was blue in the blue nightlight. Okay, probably need to move a little bit faster. You get a lot of these like non-subtitled area sound effects. And none of that really feels like anything. These are all just places I've been. It may have been that I was in this area when somebody was chasing after me. So this might be my first opportunity to think about doing a dash or something like that, but I just don't feel like I want to try any of the dashes or any of the extra content until I potentially get more health, at least, because we know at least that's promised. We see on the upgrade path that stamina will increase, and that'll give you the safety, or at least a small amount of safety, to run around. Interesting. We might as well try to stay inside of buildings if we think there's probably a higher chance of missing an inside building collectible versus an outside the building collectible. And at the very least, it's taking you a different route. But I'm having to actively choose to go in these different directions, whereas I feel like the game should be encouraging that more. And I'm not 100% sure how the game would encourage that more, other than giving you dashes and runs. It might be a case that if you were to is there a way to get to the top of this building here? I think probably you can do that. Yeah, well, you may just have to do every single dash and every single run to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish if you want to get all of the collectibles. And there's definitely a hole there, but it seems like that would be very hard to pull off. Easier just to jump. This is taking me into a different area. A lot of clear glass staircases and a lot of clear glass floors. Is this the area we had already checked out before? It feels like it is, yeah. Again, that just kind of feels like it's a odd place. And this door, I know for a fact, was not interactable before. And this is where Dogen is. We've heard a lot of talk of Dogen.
No need. Let her in.
A lot of talk of Dogen, and
Faith,
we should have seen him earlier
to think you should humble me with a
on a
visit.
camera
I'm sorry, I should have come
or
sooner.
something.
Far be it from me to judge. It's not like you owe me anything.
Look, about that, I've got something to square my debt with.
Don't be crude.
He,
I haven't seen you in
this-
2 years, and already you're talking about debt.
Dogen looks
Come.
a little too old, but they're clearly, they
Machines
put in
make perfect food.
a bunch of old characters on
Perfection is
purpose.
boring. It's the imperfections that truly
It
make
doesn't
something
visually
unique.
look that good, but it's alright.
And so I like to occasionally introduce a human touch. A little imperfection.
You still have it. I thought...
I'd get rid of it. I almost did. You made me very angry, Faith.
Yeah, it really wouldn't have hurt to
Could
see
almost say it's
Dogen
your specialty,
earlier.
considering the extent to which you've recently aggrieved Mr. Kruger. He is out for runner blood. Whatever it is you stole from him must be very valuable.
It's the blueprint for reflection.
And you have it with you.
Not right now, but
Then we will discuss your debt when you do. In the meantime, I believe a show of good faith is in order. Pardon the pun. Anansi have been remiss with their payments. A little human touch should set them straight.
all right, I get it. What do you need?
Go to the Anansi Emporium. I will update you along the way.
So now you have yet another person that you're working for. There is probably a lot of truth
Faith, to go high, you will need proper tools.
to the...
I left you a little something in the storage room.
Oh, so that's why this exists like this.
It should help you reach the top of Anansi.
You probably would end up doing a lot of more scary criminal activity if you were a runner. So now we have the mag rope pull up. Press left bump to activate in the activation area to pull up upwards. Okay. Which I guess that means that you probably will get one more item that lets you move around. Wow. The visuals on that looks very weird. I don't know if that's intentional blurriness on the edge of that glass or if that's just reflections being blurred. Ah, and see, now there is something here we can do that pulls you up. And that definitely feels like that opens up a whole new venue of races and dashes. And you can also see we are now back in daylight. Like whenever they want you to actually run around the open world. It might also be a case that nighttime means a safe time.
We have some catching up to do, Faith. Perhaps we can have dinner when we settle our transaction.
Yeah,
Yes, dinner it is. I'll prepare something special.
I don't think I want to take on these quests in the middle of the main story, so they might as well just not be there.
Still scraping by, I imagine. Like a righteous employee. This is a shared channel, Dogen. I know. So you're sending her on another one of your little errands. She will demonstrate to Anansi what it means to default on one's debts. A suitable task, don't you think? Yeah, very subtle. How about the item we have for you? It should be more than enough.
Like, where's this
I will
cops?
investigate the potential value of your proposition. But first things first. Just remember, Faith, Dogen looks to himself first. Ah, that hurts Noah. And it's also not true.
Like, okay, so the cops are here. And they literally just beat up that guy and dragged the guy away before I could get to him. So it seems like
Extra in mind.
that's what these doors are for,
Tell you more when you reach the tower.
is that it is for there to be these random spawning encounters to get a couple of bits of XP, which I think arguably does say that there is probably an infinite amount of XP.
Dinner when we've settled our transaction. Yes, dinner it is. I'll prepare something.
I feel like these glass cleaners are intentionally designed so that you
And how is Noah doing these days? Still scraping by.
think they're grid links.
Like a righteous employee. This is a shared channel, Dogen. I know. So you're sending her on another one of your little errands. She will demonstrate to Anansi what it means to default on one's debts. A suitable task, don't you think? Yeah, very subtle. How about the item we have for you? It should be more than enough. I will investigate the potential value of your proposition. But first things first. Just remember, Faith. first.
Hmm.
That hurts, Noah. And it's also not true.
Alright. So, one of the things I gotta get better at is like running around these people. Like doing a 180 while fighting these people. And once again, you're gonna set yourself up to do this security hub mission. And then that means I'm gonna have to run to escape this area. Right. Breach of policy is, I guess, the equivalent of breaking the law. Alright. Just continue to steal things while we're at it. I've made it to the construction area. Maybe a little prematurely made it to the construction area. Or maybe it won't matter. I am not far enough away, though. I'm still on the edge of the circle. And this building is still on the edge of the circle. I've got to figure out a way to leave. Yep. So they're sending out more people. I gotta figure out some way to move further to the left, further to the right, anything. I may simply have to just kill myself. Like a long jump in a direction. Maybe about the only thing you can do. And that's an interesting thought, certainly, as to if you kill yourself by jumping off a wall, does that save you on the checkpoint? And we're now finding out, no, it doesn't. So we've got to find a different direction to go. From the direction we were going. Staying hidden does keep you somewhat safe from the helicopters and the redeployment of security people. It oddly does not seem like there is a connection between getting the security chips, though. You would have expected that as you grab more security chips, you would be safer. There would be less of a hassle, less frustration. They're straight up shooting me, and I'm about to die. And there still seems like there's really no way to regain health. Hmm. 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 If I'd made that jump, I might have made it. It is odd, certainly, that they put you in this situation where you run into these side quests, and it's nice that you run into them, but it's odd that it then locks you into it. It really does not feel like there's another way to go. This entire path, as much as it feels like it should be more open, is just incredibly linear. Hmm. Yeah, even if there is a slight split in the direction you can go, it's not a big enough split. Like, it's a small, you can go between path A and path B, but it always merges back to the same branch. Alright, which way? See, that felt like that was a slightly better way to run. And now we're gonna have to try and determine whether these grapple points mean you are supposed to go up or over. Which way? Like, this way sends us back in. Yeah, I feel like I just went in circles there. Yeah. I have no idea. If there was a path this direction, I would take that. If there was a path this direction, I'd take that. Alright. This looks like there's a path this way. So... And I'm just trapped here. I cannot cancel this. I can't do anything. I've got to find a way out of this sequence before I can do anything else. And you have to do it without falling. So this is totally a difficulty spike that I'm experiencing. Maybe not everybody would experience this. The game is not throwing me a bone and, say, making the circle smaller or anything like that. It's not giving me another option or a different path. Somehow I've run past that twice and not gotten that security chip. That's interesting. But it's not particularly even surprising, considering you're in the middle of a chase sequence. The only slight benefit I'll say we have here is at least we are now not focusing on the dialogue. Yeah. this is the way you're supposed to go. This is what they scripted. This is what they planned for. Is for you to make it to this point. Make it in here. Make it in here. And then run this way. Take a long leap to this. Long leap to this. Go in this direction. Climb up here, and you're going actually in the safe house of plastic. You have to get almost directly into this, into Plastic's area.
Something extra in mind for Anansi. I'll tell you more when you reach the tower.
But we're not near the tower. We had to do that whole side mission, which pretty much means going to see Plastic at the moment is pointless. We could get coil and nothing else. But I feel like it's probably smarter to just sit on this upgrade. You can't make a decision to come to Plastic and like pick up the hard drive or anything like that, so yeah.
We have some catching up to do, Faith.
Now we're back
Have dinner when we've settled our transaction.
to the audio.
Yes, dinner it is. I'll prepare something special.
Dogen
And how is Noah doing these days?
Dogen definitely comes off as somebody who's very familiar, or feels like they can be very familiar with Faith.
What it means to default on one's debts. A suitable task, don't you think? Yeah, very simple. How about the item we have for you? It should be more than enough. I will investigate the potential value of your proposition. But first things first.
I kind of don't even want to
Dogen looks to himself.
go this right. I'm just gonna
And it's also not true.
jump this way and see if we can get the runner's vision to start pointing me in a different direction, or we'll just distract ourselves. Hey, now if it was always the case that these windows cleaners were ways to get into buildings, that would be interesting, certainly. But if I go this way, can I reach that way? I think we might be able to do it.
Yeah, what's wrong, Leech? You lost? We help?
Hey, there's another one.
Where you shouldn't be. Get her too. There's the double pole. What's it?
Let's see.
Breaching sighted proceeding past.
And these are just like totally different types of experience.
I'd be done for if you hadn't been here. Thanks a bunch.
So I guess anytime there's something like this, a door here, there could be an intervention. But also, anytime you see one of these interventions, they're going to give you only 100 XP, so not really that much. Let's see. Can we do this and get the grid link? Yes, we can. But I would have fallen to my death over there. Otherwise, here we've got some more grid leaks, more chips. It definitely feels like there isn't much of a difference between getting a data chip and a grid leak, other than the data chips do come off as being things that you just have to come close to touching. See, I feel like I ran through here when I was being chased in this grid leak was just missing.
We'll investigate the potential value of your proposition. But first things first. Just remember, Faith, Dogan looks to himself first. That hurts, Noah. And it's also not true.
I don't know if I can make that jump. Why does this want me to go back to the safe house? Is it because I have the wrong thing marked on the map? I think it is. Yeah. I think I've just been following the wrong direction this whole time. I can't call that a complete waste of time, however, because we still managed to collect quite a bit of stuff. I really wish some of this stuff was more trustworthy as far as running around on a pipe and grasping a corner. It feels a little too dangerous.
Have you ever had veal? Most mid-caste go through their entire lives without ever tasting real meat. Or perhaps you're a vegetarian. I make an exquisite risotto.
So,
Maybe we'll have duck. I'm expecting a shipment from Cascadia Prime any day now. Oh, and you're not invited, Noah. I'd rather have dinner with Gabriel Kruger.
the secret bag makes a different sound.
I admit that reflection intrigues me. The family certainly spare no expense in promoting it. And yet no one will say what it actually is. Don't you want to become the grid, Dogan? I prefer to access the grid on my terms, Noah. The employees are already grid-linked. I wonder what reflection will add.
Become the grid does kind of sound like they're going to use people's brains, connect them all into a forced computer hive mind. Which way? Guess we go this way. So Dogan does seem to be pretty rich. And there definitely seems like there is a whole caste system in this society. Well, I've literally told you there's a caste system in this society. There's still slightly too many opportunities to jump to your death or get lost. How far are we? We are still fairly far. And that definitely was a leap of faith, which I guess is the pun of calling the character Faith in the first place. I did not know that I was going to survive that. We may get just enough collectibles in the regular gameplay to unlock everything that you'd want to unlock, to the point where it's not really worth the extra effort to do the dashes. And I would have a hard time justifying running around doing dashes or trying to find other collectibles for just achievement reasons. I might be willing to do it for a certain amount of time, but if it starts feeling like it's 5-10 extra hours of running around getting collectibles, that's more than is, I think, reasonable. And yeah, it definitely feels like there's either some repetition happening here, or let's see if we can do this. That either there's some repetition happening, here, or that there is a there was a reset on what I actually collected every time I died trying to flee the Kruger-sec people. That one didn't even load in all the textures. Interesting. Okay.
Script making. Opportunity available nearby.
Script making opportunity nearby is the delivery, just with a different line of dialogue. Still fairly awkward. And I feel like I'm going to end up in this area where I already was, just to go back to the area I've already been. Yep. There's a whole tutorial section here that was just not loaded as we were trying to escape the Kruger-sec people. And that's why I didn't know. Now, you wouldn't have had that ability. Like, let's make no bones about it. The movement ability here to... Let's see. Quick turn is something I had to build up. And then a wall run with the left bump, and then a 90-degree turn. Like these quick turns. Oops. I did not mean to hit that button. Like, that was something I just unlocked, the quick turn. So I don't know how you would have gotten up here otherwise. Unless the game just gave it to you. Okay. We have like 13 minutes now to actually do this mission since it took us so long to get to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see more of that, where it's a longer journey with a lot of distractions just to get from one main story quest to the next. You finally face Dogen, the crime czar of glass, and the meeting went well, all things considered. He still has the pattern drawing made by your mother, and you still owe him big for past mistakes. But Dogen definitely seemed intrigued by the reflection blueprint, and he might be willing to exchange it for both your debt and the drawing. While he investigates further, he wants you to do a job for him, though. The Anasazi, or Anasi Corporation has drawn his ire, and you are to teach them a lesson.
Almost there, Dogen.
Excellent. Go to the top, release the tuned mass tamper, and we're good. For now.
The two what?
A giant counterweight intended to make the building safe for earthquakes and hurricanes. But not from me. It will be our instrument of destruction.
So...
Does Nancy really deserve this?
Are you having second thoughts, Faith? Nancy's not exactly a force for good. Every day, low-caste are dying in the Greyland factories, producing toothpicks and diapers for the vidcast here in the city. Do this for them, if not for me.
So you're doing an act of terrorism again on a building, which inevitably, that is probably a story that should have been told better and pointed out, is that the people that are getting hurt in these conflicts are not the upper caste rich people or the people in charge of the corporations. It's the employees and the people in the building. And it's not particularly fair. And it is oddly how it goes a lot of times. Alright. Is there... Let's see. You can see that the pipe I'm holding on to is not rendering in the reflection. Alright. So it's up here. So if I was to do this, I can't reach it that way. Jump down from the pipe, possibly. Doesn't really feel like there is a way up here. Unless you're gonna maybe come up here. The wall's not smooth enough to do that. There's no way to grab to do that. So we may just not be able to get there. Like, the only thing I can even really think about would be something like this, and that, and even trying that didn't work. And then you get up to this point. It doesn't seem like there's anything you can do. But yeah, this definitely feels like it's not going to be a joke. It is going to be another building collapsing and hurting a lot of people. Right. If I tried to run on the wall here, I would fall. Like, no way that would work. Maybe they're trying to soften the blow and imply that there's very few people or no people in this building and it's just being constructed, so you're just hurting a bunch of construction workers instead of just a fully occupied tower. That softens the blow a little bit, not by much. We clearly can hear people building stuff. We see construction workers building stuff. Yeah, I don't know if Faith really wants these kinds of injuries and deaths on her conscience. But we really don't know enough about Faith to even know. It's odd that they're once again focusing on yellow as being yellow is the visual indicator that you can climb upward, because here's some yellow and you can't climb up there. There's plenty of yellow in the construction there. You can't climb up there or climb on the people. Yeah, I guess that was the way we were going. And this definitely does imply that we're going to not see the server racks very often to climb up those. Which that's kind of fine, because we really didn't need a climbing ladder mechanic, since the main gameplay mechanic of this game is already a parkouring, jumping up walls mechanic. Every wall should be considered a ladder. It seems weird to then subdivide. Right. We'll try and find as many things as we can.
That's about it.
So what does Henry say about the situation?
I haven't been able to get a hold of him for 2 days.
If Dogan is involved, don't count on ever talking to him again.
What am I supposed to do? I'm scared.
You should be. I'll talk to some people on the board, but I can't guarantee anything. My pull isn't as strong as it used to be. And your recent endeavors haven't exactly helped either.
That didn't work. So in that recording, we are starting to see some kind of proof that the board and this conglomeration of corporations seem to run everything, and so it is just oligarchs running everything. This feels like this is just another case where it wants me to do a jump that just doesn't feel like that's something you can pull off. And honestly, I would probably be happier if this game was just a scripted experience, and some of these were much closer to being quick time events instead of actual, like, you have to be good parkour jumps. There's definitely a lot of sequences here that feel like they should only really exist. Well, I guess that's one way to do it. If somebody was chasing you. Alright, well. Oops. That's interesting that it had any physics there. And that you could knock things over. Again, we are now in another either nighttime section or just a very dark section. And that just jumped us past either a lot of areas where you really couldn't do much if you landed. You may just have to potentially fall back down to a lower spot to get up, or areas that don't have much of anything in them. Although it is also possible I just was skipped past a bunch of areas that actually have quite a bit of content in them. So jump, jump. Yeah, you have to double tap on the left bump to make some of these jumps. When I get some of these jumps, they look really cool and really smooth, but when I fail them, I just feel like I'm fairly incompetent, and this is kind of starting to kill my thumbs.
I'm guessing that
The
mass tuner thing will cause some
fiddleness.
serious damage.
You're guessing right.
And what about the employees here?
What about them?
Just what I thought. I'm getting them out, Dogen. The fire alarm should do it.
Whatever. If you ask them nicely, I'm sure they'll leave obediently.
So Faith negotiates pulling the fire alarm, although frankly it would take about 5 to 20 minutes for everybody to leave. And there's definitely two scenarios here. The mass dampener could just fall down and do a significant amount of damage to the building, or it could fall down and the building could completely fall over. So even if you were leaving or had left the building and standing next to the building because of a fire alarm, you still might very well be in the danger zone as far as where a building might fall over. I guess it also, that was an odd wall to jump against. I guess I was supposed to jump against this wall. It's not really realistic that a fire alarm would be wired already, unless there's future technology where fire alarms can just be installed without any wiring or electricity, and that they would be programmed and set up to go. Which maybe a grid link system could do something like that, certainly. It would make a lot more sense if fire alarms were connected to an internet or a cell phone service, and they automatically would then point towards automatically connect to emergency services. I'm assuming this isn't the mass link dampener. That elevator feels like that might be the checkpoint to leave, though we may have to race back to this point after the fact. Let's see. Now we went up to go down. This is going to lead towards some weirdness. I'm glad we haven't spent a lot of time crawling through air conditioner shafts. That's not really Mirror's Edge. Honestly, most games that have you crawling through air conditioner shafts are not particularly that. Those aren't particularly great sequences. They're there to hide loads, or they're there to specifically be a transition point where other enemies can't chase you. So yeah, there is a fire control on the computer. Okay. Now, you're not supposed to use an elevator. In a fire. Interesting. It's almost like they're naming 4 or 5 different bad guys you're gonna chase after.
I look forward to putting this unfortunate episode behind us.
That wouldn't be a terrible thought, certainly.
Blueprint is more than enough as payment. That blueprint is worth exactly nothing until 1, I get it, and 2, I sell it.
Yeah, they should have turned you around and
Right, Noah.
shown.
I'm enjoying myself. And the employees are all clear the building now.
If anything happens to her, Dogan, he'll go berserk, I'm sure. We've had this discussion once already.
What discussion? When?
No, I didn't tell you. 2 years ago, he came here after you were taken. Made quite an impression.
It's a nice viewpoint.
Runners look after their own.
Yeah. Still a way up. You're definitely gonna fall to your death if you make even one misstep. I imagine, though, even if I did end up having to take on 4 or 5 oligarchs, I bet they would be fairly short experiences. Like a sequence where you run against one person, catch up with them, catch them, and then you're very quickly running against the next person. I don't expect to see any kind of boss fights or special gameplay mechanics. It would be very frustrating, honestly, if there was a boss fight and then all of a sudden I had to either figure out a way to fight somebody using parkour skills or use the fighting mechanics in this game, which are pretty awful. There probably is going to be some boss fight like that, but I hope it's not too many. Definitely, I hope not 5 oligarchs. Maybe just Kruger. The first game, I don't think there even was a fight here at all. I think you may very well have just done a quick time event and defeated the main bad guy in the first game. This is a nice image, but this is almost certainly a false image. I bet there's no actual loaded in sections that you're seeing from up here. I bet everything deloaded when you got to the elevator. And we knew we would get to a point where we were at the top of a crane and we're either going to fall to our death or accomplish it. This still does not seem like the counterbalance on a crane would not be there for the building. These giant buildings are unfortunately probably the way of the future with large populations.
At the top. Where's the damper tuner thing?
It should be right in front of you.
That? Why didn't you just say that it's a crazy huge pendulum?
Because things should be called by their proper names. Now, you need to dislodge it. There should be 3 support clamps for you to deactivate.
So yeah, giant thing that's going to crash through the bottom and potentially have the whole building fall over. But I bet it's just going to crash through the bottom, because if not, then we would have to reload this level to get any kind of collectibles. I wouldn't be surprised if what happens is Dogen becomes the oligarch in charge. Let's see. So you have a new different kind of panel here with a circuit chip, different visuals. Two are deactivated? No, tuned mass damper support deactivated. Alright. Will this let me up here? There's something weird where that won't work. Well, this puts me in a bad position. I don't know how to get out of this area. It seems to be telling me just run against the wall and jump. I don't think I'm going to succeed at that, but we'll try it. And I suppose at this point you could start a counter on just how often the game is going to tell me to do the skill roll every time I fall down. But I feel like for a lot of players that is going to be your normal experience, is that when you mess up a jump, you are going to inevitably not have the presence of mind to do a skill roll and recover from a bad jump. It definitely feels like this whole game could unlock a time trial mode where you would just play the whole game a second time as fast as possible. But I almost would hope that that's not the case, or that it is secretly already timing you and just not telling you that it's timing you. Because while speedrunning is kind of fun and all to watch, I don't think it's something that should be a requirement or even really encouraged for average players, because it would be a nightmare, certainly. The part about speedrunning that they don't tell you about in the presentations like Games Done Quick and such is the parts where like most speedrunners have to reset and restart all the time. It's very bad. Like, so if you ever find like a speedrunner and watch their Twitch streams where they're resetting 100, 200 times to just get that best score, it's not an experience you want your average player to have. And I kind of do believe a game like this, since we just don't have decades of parkour experience in games, Mario 64 is about the closest parkour game before Mirror's Edge, I would say, in games like Mario 64. Since you just don't have a lot of that experience, decade after decade, a new game every year, it's not really reasonable to expect players to be able to play this game that well. You can see I'm struggling with this very much, and I really would like an easy mode that made me jump another foot longer, another foot higher, gave me another stamina. That I definitely think it's better to try and bring more people to the table to be able to beat this game than it is to potentially have a speedrun mode or a time trial mode out on a second playthrough. Now, this really doesn't make any sense that it would just break like that, because it's supposed to.
Tore through the entire building. I didn't.
As intended. It'll be some time before Nancy recovers from that, if ever. It's good you got the employees out, Faith. She obviously cares for others, Noah. A charming character flaw we both share. Occasionally.
This feels like it should be a face travel.
Don't stick around. I expect Kruger-Sec are sending people to investigate this little accident as we speak.
Guess we're going up to go down. I guess that's what we're doing. Like, what in the world? Where was I supposed to go there? Why did it want me to jump that? Man, we're still running into that Sonic problem. You just have to leap before you can know where you're gonna go. Even the runner's vision is broken.
That thing tore through the entire building. I didn't.
As intended. It'll be some time before Nancy recovers from that, if ever.
Like, the whole tune thing should have worked perfectly fine. I guess you just have to assume it hadn't been fully installed yet. Like, are you supposed to just like jump this way? The idea that you'd be able to jump from that and do something seems completely unbelievable. Like, land. I still don't know what the tooltip is about. If you see the rat the size of a car, you're in the wrong game. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Okay. It does want me to go up and make that jump, but I've got to do the double tap jump. Otherwise.
I expect Kruger-Sec are sending people to investigate this little accident as we speak.
Yeah. And nearly fell to my death there. And then just slide down here. So down we go. Yeah. Make your way down. And you're not just gonna slide down a pipe this whole time, but you might slide down multiple pipes. And landing on this trash is kind of an oddly custom place to land. And again, we can see the tower. You really can't see any damage or destruction to the building. This would be a great point to have some dialogue talking about the city, or just talking about how tall this building is compared to other buildings. It definitely feels weird that you did that whole quest though without a single Kruger-sec person or fight or anything. They clearly have realized in like bug testing that the fight mechanic was really bad, and they got rid of it because of that reason.
Filled out the blueprint. And then, maybe, we can also discuss your potential procurement of that drawing.
Yeah.
Faith, Icarus has gone missing and I can't reach him on the beat.
Why is this my problem?
Do I really have to explain that to you?
No. Sorry.
Good. I'm sending you his last known location. Please go and see what you can find.
So then they're immediately getting pushed into another quest. Okay. Caught in the web, talk to plastic is a side mission. Pigeons down Rydo is a side mission. I think you could probably just fast travel to that. Or Flytrap is the main story. So yeah, I think your best bet is to do this side mission while you're somewhat close to it. And then maybe even get the pigeons down before doing this mission. Getting this downtown grid node would be nice also, and kind of feels like there is really only 2 grid nodes in the entire game, and I bet that's not really the case. Now that we have Benefactor unlocked, we could increase our focus shield, or double wall run, left bump, look, jump on another wall run, and look. We probably would need to get that. Extended slide, climb efficiency, climb pipes and ladders faster. That clearly tells you that you are better off not doing any of the dashes. Switch places, probably not that useful. Light transversal focus shield, or +1 stamina, and like clearly +1 stamina is the one to get. As far as gear, like being able to pull things down with the mag rope is another transition thing, and that's Viva La Resistance. Sanctuary to get Disrupt is clearly something that we'll want to get to. So we'll go ahead and take that. We are being fairly slow here as far as getting through the main stories. So I just don't think there are actually that many main stories. And documents are filling in very slowly. We're not finding recordings, so it's not surprising that we're not filling in recordings. So there's definitely a lot of gameplay to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting recordings specifically around trying to do these dashes, and that might be the thing to focus about more. I don't even know if I've ever even been to this safe house. Like, let's just fast travel to the safe house and see if we've even seen it. Nope. We've never even been here. We can hack a screen. If anything, I think this is going to point out the kind of fruitlessness of a lot of these points and sanctuaries, is that they are just going to be like these sanctuary points are just going to be like fast travel locations. So yeah, apparently hacking the grid already got me to this point. This was the building that was in construction, and so if we see how tall that is and how that part of the map is not really being shown, you can see that this is taller because the camera zoomed out as I got closer to it. It does give me indications, certainly, though, that some of these taller buildings and some of these sections on the side very possibly are never going to be playable. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's very little of this world and this map that is yet to be seen. Alright, well, we've already gone an hour and 20 minutes. That's long enough, for sure. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.